Hello everyone, good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining today's session. My name is Venkat Ramakrishna Reddy Sethi and today we are going to explore how enterprise teams can build real production ready applications in a fraction of usual time using Code Studio. I want to clarify something right at the start. When we say under 60 minutes, this is not about cutting corners, it's not about skipping architecture or ignoring standards or avoiding complaints. Instead, it's all about eliminating unnecessary friction like setup overhead, context switching, and repeated manual effort. In the second half of the session, we'll actually build a live appointment planner app so you can see this working end to end. And here is the plan for today. We'll start by looking at why enterprise app development is still painfully slow with even modern frameworks. Then we'll deep dive into the key capabilities of Code Studio like agent mode, contest engineering, custom instructions, and custom prompt files. Like these are the features that make Core Studio usable in real enterprise environments, not just demos. After that, we'll switch gears into a live demo where we'll build an appointment planner app step by step. And finally, we'll wrap up with key takeaways and Q&A session. Before we go deeper, let's do a quick poll. Think about your most recent or current enterprise project. What slowed you down the most? Is it architecture and environmental setup? Is it business logic changes? Or validation and compliance? Or testing and QA? Or cross team validation? I think in almost every organization, the answer is not just writing code. So please vote for your answers. Yeah, thank you for answering. Keep your answers in mind because every feature we will discuss today is designed to address these exact challenges. This slide summarizes the reality many team faces. Like 70% of enterprise projects miss deadlines, and this is not because developers lack skill or effort. Let's break down the real issues step by step. The first issue is setup overload. Like teams spend days or weeks configuring frameworks, folder structure, linter, and build pipelines before a single business feature is delivered. And the next one is the context fragmentation. Like requirements live in tickets, architecture decision lives in documents, coding standards lives in tribal knowledge. Like none of this context is available where code is actually written. And the next problem is the late feedback. Like problem surfaces during QA, security review, or integration, where fixes are slow and expensive. The core issue here is fragmented context, not slow developers. Here, the core studio exists to bring all that context into the AI workflow, right where development happens. A very important clarification here. Code Studio does not replace your SDLC. Enterprises still need requirement and specification, architecture and planning, implementation, reviews, testing, and compliance. What Code Studio does is embed the SDLC directly into the AI workflow. Here's how it is done. Like custom prompts turn raw requirements into clear specifications, custom instructions define architecture, rules, and constraints, and agent mode executes like a senior developer, and built-in verification shift testing earlier. Instead of humans manually enforcing the process, the workflow itself enforces it. This approach is powered by the term called context engineering. Now let's talk about agent mode. Like it is one of the most powerful capabilities in the code studio. Agent mode is not like a chart or not like a autocomplete. Think of it as a goal-driven AI engineer. When you assign a task, the agent understands the request and the existing code. It explores the code base, documentation, or the dependencies we do have, and it plans the works in clear step. Like it breaks down the task into it breaks down the task and it plans the every step, and it implements the verify the changes. While implementing or editing the code, it takes the user permission before making the changes. This mirrors how the senior engineer works, right? In the live demo, you will see the agent create a plan before coding, follow architecture rules, fix its own errors. This is what makes agent mode safe and powerful for the enterprise use. Now let's see how to enable the agent mode in the Code Studio. So to enable the agent mode, go to Code Studio and go to Code Studio chart panel. And in the chart panel, just click on the settings, configure chart, and go to open settings. In the open settings, you can see the agent option. In the agent option, we can see agent enabled. So currently it was enabled, so it was in enabled. So we can see the agent mode here in this drop down. You can see here we have a built-in modes like ask, edit, and plan. Since we enabled the agent mode, we can able to see the agent in this built-in modes. So this is how we can enable the agent mode in Code Studio. Now let's jump into custom engineering. Like contest engineering is the discipline behind all of this. Instead of repeatedly explaining the same thing to the AI, we curate all the essential project context once, make it durable and reusable, and then we'll share it across the team. Here, the AI no longer guesses or it does not make any assumptions. It operates within our architecture, our standards, and our constraints. This is how AI becomes predictable but not random. Now, let's go to one of the features custom instructions. Like custom instructions are a persistent rulebook for an AI agent. Think of them as a onboarding documentation for the AI. They eliminates repetition and ensure consistent architecture, consistent coding standard, consistent output across teams. Once defined, every developer gets the same behavior from the agent automatically. Now let's see how to configure the rules. I mean the custom instruction. Like the rules live in the file like .code studio slash instruction slash the name which we given for the custom instruction. Like this file defines what the app does, the tech stack, the coding guidelines, the project structure, allowed tools and constraints. And the result here is massive. We'll have a very less rework, faster reviews, fewer violation of standards. The AI behaves like a tenured team member in these custom instructions. And now let's see what are the do's and don'ts for the custom instruction. The few practical best practices are keep instructions concise and broadly applicable, define architectural boundaries clearly, update rules when the agent makes mistake. Let's say agent implemented some piece of code and it does not implement it correctly, and we got a mistake at that case. In that case, what we should do is we need to update in the custom instruction that to not to make the same mistake again, so that it will not make the same mistake again. And here are some of the don'ts we should follow. Like don't overload the instructions. Keep it simple and keep it less than 500 lines. And don't skip human review every time. Here the goal is guided autonomy, not blind automation. And now let's see how to create a custom instruction in the Code Studio. To create custom instruction in Code Studio, go to Code Studio and go to chart panel of the Code Studio. And here click on configure chart, chart instructions, and here we have to click on new instruction file. Here we will be having two options, .code studio slash instructions and user data. Here .code studio slash instructions is used to store the custom instructions in your repo, so your team can use it. And one more is the user data. It will be stored in your personal folder, like it will be used by you only you, and it can be used across all the project folders we do have. So now let's create with .code studio slash instructions, and now we have to name it. So I will name it as project rules. So here we can see it was created, and here we can see apply to, we have double stars. So double star in the sense the rules will be applicable for all the files and all the folders we do have in this project. Like this, we can define only for the specific folder or specific file. Let's say we have front end and back end, two different folders, and if we want to apply rules differently for the front end and apply rules differently for the back end, we can do that also. So now let's create a custom file so that rules will be applicable for all the project files. Sorry, I already defined the project rules, so I'll just copy and paste those project rules here. Yeah, so here are the rules. Like here I have given the purpose. Provide concise, correct and high quality engineering output with disciplined SDLC principle. That's the general operating principles. Like always ask clarifying questions when information is missing or ambiguous. Never assume framework tools or patterns that are not explicitly stated, and do not refactor or optimize unrelated code. Request user permission file to create new files. And next, the SDLC discipline to follow, like clarify requirements if it is unclear, write a concise specification, create an implementation plan. While creating the implementation plan, I said to break plan into granular trackable steps. Each step should be a single file or small logical unit. Wait for the user approval before proceeding to step 4. Like implementing a small, in the step 4 I have given, implement in small and correct steps. Mark each to do as in progress before starting. Ask permission before creating each new file or batch files. Mark each to do as completed immediately after finishing. And add or update test, provide verification commands. This is what I have defined. And next, I define the technology decisions. In the technology decisions, like what is the framework or stack we do use. For the front end, for this project, I will go with React. For the back end, I will go with Python. And the database, I will go with SQLite. Here I have defined a rule also. So in the tool, it said if a framework tool or library is not listed, you must ask before assuming. So it will take the permission from the user if it wants to add the new framework or tool or library. Next, I have defined the engineering standards like architecture and separation of concerns. Like here, I said the keep UI, API, business logic, and data access concerns separate. Controller layer, next the service layer, next the data access layer. Like avoid leaking implementation details across layers. And next the quality, validate input at system boundaries, use clear error messages and correct HTTP status codes like 400, 401, 204, load those. And next the security baselines, like never introduce secret API keys or credentials, avoid unsafe constructs and everything. And next I have defined the boundaries. In the boundaries always I said to follow SDLC discipline, keep code readable and consistent, add or update test, and to take the permission while adding dependencies, while making the large refactors, while making the large code changes, like while breaking the schema changes. And what you should never do is commit secret or credentials, remove failing tests just to make it pass, modify unrelated code. So this should never be done. So this is how we can define a good custom instruction. Now let's jump into custom prompts. Finally, the custom prompts. Like every experienced developer has powerful prompts, but they are usually locked in their head. Code Studio solves this with we'll have a file where it will be stored like code studio slash prompts. So this can be shared across teams, reusable, and these are version controlled. Like this can be invoked with simple slash command. Like once we create a simple prompt file, then in the chart with a simple slash command, we can directly access the prompt, and we'll have a context event. We can assign the prompt to some agent like plan agent, edit or agent mode, or if we have some custom agents, we can assign that custom agent also. Like this turns the individual expertise into the organization knowledge. So let's say we are having a review prompt. So if we store that review prompt, so whenever someone want to share it for review, before sharing it for review, if he uses that review prompt, so he can make all the necessary changes that the code studio suggests, so that these prompt files can be helpful. So this is how someone can use the prompt file. Now let's see how we can create a prompt file in the code studio. So to create a prompt file, just go to your code studio, open the chat panel of the code studio, and just click on settings, and here we can see the prompt files option. So go to prompt files and click on new prompt file, and here also same, we'll have code studio slash prompts and the user data like previously I explained for the custom instructions. So this will be stored in your repository, so every team member can be every team member who has access to this repo can use it. And user data, in the sense, it will be stored in your personal folder, so only you can use it across multiple projects. Now let's create in code studio slash prompts. Now we have to name the prompt. So I will name it as gather requirements prompt. So here we can see the file was created, and here we can see agent was set as agent mode, and here we have to define the prompt. So I have already created the prompt. I will just copy and paste the prompt. Yeah, here it is. So here I have given the agent as mode as ask mode. So it is not a either mode. We have given the ask mode. You can see here we have this built-in modes agent, ask, edit, and plan, and we can have some custom agents also. We can give those one also. But here now for now I have given the ask mode. So in this, what I have given us requirements clarification mode. You are a senior engineer gathering requirements when this mode is added to based on your user input. So the rules I have given are: do not write code, do not propose any implementation of architecture. Your only task is to ask clarifying questions. So I said it to ask up to 6 focused clarifying questions like business goals, what are the users and roles, what are the functional scope, non-functional needs, data and API expectations, constraints or assumptions. Next, what I given was top after the questions. Do not propose solution, patterns, or code. So I will save this. So now I will show how we can access this prompt file. To access this prompt file, go to your chart panel and just click on slash. When we click on slash, here we can see I named it as gather requirements.prompt.md. So we can see the gather requirements prompt. So it will be so like this we can access the prompt that we have stored. Now let me create another prompt file. Go to prompt file, new prompt file dot code studio slash prompts. So I will name it as SDLC creation. So I have named it as SDLC workflow implementation prompt. So for this also I have a prompt. I will just copy and paste the prompt. I have created the prompt. So in this I have given the agent mode. For the previous one I have given the ask mode, whereas for this prompt I have given the agent mode. So in this I have defined prompt like SDLC workflow instruction. Follow the SDLC workflow strictly. Do not jump directly into the coding. Step 1 requirements. If the user input is unclear, I set to ask the 6 questions like business goals, users, functional scope, non-functional needs, data or API expectations, and constraints or assumptions. If requirements are clear, then I set to proceed to specification. So specification in the sense step 2. In the step 2, I said to provide a structured specification constraint like goal, in scope, what are out of scope, acceptance criteria, and edge cases. And next proceed to the step 3. Here the step 3 is the plan, to provide a plan. Before writing any code, provide a clear implementation plan including files, the areas to change, data or API changes, UI changes, what we are doing, testing approach. And step 4 is the implementation. Here what I said is implement in small reusable steps, follow existing repository patterns, respect or provide instructions. And step 5 is the testing. Add or update test for all new or changed behavior, like to cover our happy path, common error conditions, input validation failures, like never delete, skip or disable failing test cases. And step 6 is the verification and responses with test commands, build.dev commands. And how the output format should be. Always structure your response as questions or assumptions, specification, plan, implementation summary, test or verification commands. So like this, I have defined one of the prompt. Now I will show how to access it. If we click on slash, here we can see both gather requirements, which was previously created by me, and next one is the SDLC workflow implementation. So like this, we can create the prompt files. So with that foundation in place, let's move to the live demo. In this live demo, I will build an appointment planner app from the scratch. So now let's using custom instructions, custom prompts. Now let's see how we can build it in the Code Studio. So let's go to Code Studio. I already prepared the gather requirements prompt, so I will be using it now. So just have a click on slash and gather requirements. Sorry, and click on send. So what it does is based on the prompt here, it will provide some response. We'll see what is the response it will be providing. Yeah, here we can see it is asking for the business goals, user and roles, functional scope, non-functional needs, data and API expectation, constant and assumptions. So the same what we defined in the prompt. So in the prompt we can see organize questions under these categories. What are your business goals? So it asks what is your business goals. Next the users and roles we do have. Next the functional scope, non-functional needs, data or API expectations, and constant assumptions. Based on the prompt we have defined, it provided the output. So now we have to answer these questions. I already have this business goals, so I'll just copy and paste it. So let's see what I have defined in this business goals. So business goal. So implement appointment planner with simple login place, end-to-end crowd for appointments, conflict detection, soft cancel, basic backend test, working UI. And next the user and roles. I have defined internal staff or admin users, single role only, and everything. Next the functional scope. UI must have login page, appointment list view, create or edit form, cancel, status transitions. Like allowed us schedule to complete, we should allow. Complete to schedule, we should not allow. Schedule to cancel, we can allow. And cancel to schedule if no conflict. So these were the things that are allowed and not allowed that we can do in the appointment planner. And next one is the non-functional needs like authentication, input validation, history, everything. And next the data or API expectations. Like I said to use the SQLite. Next the tech stack, front end, React plus Tailwind CSS, backend Python plus fast API, database SQLite. And priority and verification expectations and everything I have defined in the business goals. Now let's go to Core Studio and send it. So here we can see provide an overview, build a full stack appointment scheduling system with authentication, thread operations, conflict detection, and software functionality. And the system components for the front end React, White, Tailwind CSS, for the backend Python, Fast API, database SQLite, like status transitions, conflict list detection, and everything. And next, it created the implementation plan. So in the implementation plan, first phase one, project setup and database, backend authentication phase two, phase three, backend appointment API, phase four, backend test, phase five, front end setup, phase six, front end components, phase seven, integration and documentation. So here we can see before it proceeds to the implementation, it asks for the confirmation. Here, approve the implementation plan, ready for me to start the phase one. So it has provided this. So before this, like I have created the on the prompt also, which is SDLC workflow implementation. So I will use this prompt now slash SDLC workflow implementation. I will click on send. So it follow instructions in SDLC workflow implementation the prompt.md. So what are the instructions which we define in this? It will be followed. So here we can see in this prompt we have defined the step one as requirements. If the user input is unclear, it will ask for questions. If the user requirements are clear, it will proceed to the specification. Since we already provided the requirements, so here we can see complete all requirements gathered and documented. So step one was completed. Now the step two, which is specification, which we have defined here. To provide a goal, first we have said to provide a goal. So the goal was provided, build a full stack appointment scheduling system with authentication, cloud operations, and everything. Next, what are the in scope options, out of scope, acceptance criteria we do have, and the edge cases. And next part is the step three, which we defined in the prompt is plan. So it created a plan. And everything like data or API changes that need to do, UI changes, testing approach, and everything. And step 4 is the implementation. Now what it done is it will create a to-do list to create. So now I will approve this plan. So we can say I have approved this plan. So now what it will do is it will create a to-do list. So what are the things that need to be done? So it will plan step-by-step process and it will execute in the same. So here we can see to-dos were created. What are the total 36 to-dos were created? Create project folder structure, create backend requirements.txt, create backend config to create all the backend files. Next, it goes with the front-end files. So this is the to-do plan. It was created. So ready for begin implementation. I will now proceed phase by phase, asking permission before creating each batch of files. Project setup and data. Phase 1 is the project setup and the database. So it is asking for the permission to create this folder with these files. So why this is asking for the permission is, if we see this SDLC principle, here I have given a instruction. Fourth point. What I given is ask permission before creating each new file or batch of files. So what it done is it asks for the permission. So I will just give permission granted. So now what it will do is it will create this folder structure and these files in that folder. Let's wait till it completes. We can see here both the folders were created, backend as well as the front end. And in the to-dos, we can see first one was completed. So that's why it was in green tick mark. Create project folder structure. So it is created. So it is in green tick mark. Now it is creating the backend requirements.txt. So this is the requirements.txt. It was created. Next, it created config.py, database.py. All the files were created to get the DB, to create tables. This one is to see the user data, like to log in. So here we can see the phase 1 was completed. All these files were created. Now for the phase 2, backend authentication. We can see in to-dos also 7 were completed. Next, the backend authentication part was not completed. So it was asking for the permission to create these files. So you permission granted. If you feel every time while creating the files it is asking for the permission, if you feel this was hectic, then in the project tools you can just remove this point, then it will not ask for the permission while creating every file. In the to-do list, we can see now it is creating the backend authentication password.py files. So here we can see it created the password.py, session.py, middleware.py, roots.py. And here we can see the files that have changed also. Like what are the files that have been changed and everything. So here we can see phase 2 was also completed and to do was also updated. 11 out of 36 were completed. Now it is asking for the phase 3, permission for the phase 3 to create this schema.py, service.py, roots.py and main.py. So I will grant permission for this. So now till this to do it will complete. Next it will ask for the unit test cases and then it will go to the front end. Let's wait till this phase was completed. It is working on creating the files. Let's wait till it complete. Yeah, we can see it created schemas.py, service.py, and roots.py. Let's wait till it completes. So we can see phase 3 also completed. Now it will ask permission for the phase 4. So I'll give permission for the phase 4 also. Now it will build the unit test cases for the backend. You can see in this test folder, it will create the test cases. Next, after creating the unit test cases, the next part is for the creating the front end. Package.json, white config, index.html. So let's wait till this unit test is completed, then the backend will be completed. You can see this unit test files were created, and this test file for testing the appointments. To get this test is like to get the appointments by date, to get the appointments sorted by time and everything. So tests were implemented. So we can see phase 4 was also completed. So here we can see what are the test covered. Login or successfully protected endpoints, CRUD operations, data filtering and sorting, cancelled appointment. So like this, all the 40 tests were covered in this. So here we can see backend was completed. Now it will focus on the front end. So it asked for the permission for the phase 5 to create this files. So I will grant permission. Now it will be working on the front end folder. Let's wait till it completes, and here we can see the to do. In the to do list, we can see create backend test, authentication.py, everything was completed. So these were marked as completed. And we can see it is adding the dependencies. So here we'll click on allow. So now it will be completely focused on the front end. Here we can see it created index.html, index.css, and everything. So styling was also added. We can see phase 5 was completed. Now it is asking permission to for the phase 6. So let's give permission. So now it will create this client.js, authentication context.js, layout.jx. So these files will be created. So here we can see phase 6 also completed. Here are the key features that it was implemented: session cookie support, authentication context with loading, auto check authentication, and everything. Now it is asking for the permission for the phase 7. Let's give permission for this. Like here we can see 28 out of 36 to-dos were completed. Still 8 to-dos are pending. So this phase was also completed. Still we have one last phase. Now let's give permission for this phase also. We can see 31 out of 36 were completed. Still we have this 5 to-dos to complete. So now it is creating launch page, appointment page, main.jsx and app.jsx. Next it will be creating the readme.md. Here we can see phase 8 also completed. Now last phase, which is the documentation one. So I will approve it also. So now it will create the documentation. So like this we can see it was created all the necessary files. In the backend, we set to include the unit test case also. So test was also included, and all the necessary like appointments, authentication, users, all the services were included, database.py and everything. And in the front end, it added all the index.html components, API, pages, and everything were added. Once this documentation is completed, we can see the live application. So we can see it created the readme.md. What are the features it implemented, like user authentication, CRUD operations, conflict detection, status transition, data filtering, and everything. In the tech stack, it has used front end and the project structure. And next, the setup instructions, like how to run the commands, how to, and everything it was defined. And here we can see implementation has been completed. Now we will ask it to run the front end and back end. So this agent mode can access the terminal also. So it will automatically run the terminal commands. Let's see how it will run. So if we click on hello, it will be running this terminal command. Here we can see the terminal command is being run. So here we can see dependencies were not installed. So we got an error in the terminal. So it checking what is the error. So now it is installing the dependencies. Now if I click on keep, then all the files will be saved. Here. Let's wait till all the dependencies were installed. Then we can have the live application here. It is taking some time to install all the dependencies. Let's wait. Yeah, we can see dependencies was installed. Now it will start the front end. You can see both the servers are running, backend as well as the front end. So we can see the clean UA with the authentication form. So here we'll give admin and password as admin123. Let's see what are the password it has seeded. Username as admin and password as admin123. Okay, we have given the correct data. So it is showing invalid credentials. I think this data was not seeded. Let's check with the issue. So we can define. So I have given a query that when I try to log in with admin and password as admin123, it is showing invalid username or password. So it will check on the issue in this case. As I said, the database has not been seeded. So that's why we got this issue. So once the database has been seeded, then this issue will not get this issue. Yeah, we can see now it was seeded. Now let's log in with the same credentials. We got it as login failed. So it will check on the issue why we got that login failed, and it will fix the issue. So now it is checking the issue with the HTTP request. So here we can see now it fixed the issue. But still we are getting, I think the front end should be reloaded. Now let's reload this page. Yeah, now it is loaded. Now we'll log in with username admin and password as admin123, and I will sign in. And we can see the layout now. Appointment planner, appointments. Now I will create a new appointment. I will name it as daughter appointment. I will do contact. Date as March 23, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I will create it. So it was created. Now I will choose March 23, and we can see here the appointment was scheduled. We can edit this appointment also. So I will click on edit, and I will change the phone number 210 to 211. So we can see the phone number was edited. Now I can cancel this also. So I will cancel this. So now it was cancelled. Now if I click on show cancel, then the cancelled appointment has been shown here. So if we try to log out now, then we'll log out. So like this, we can able to create a enterprise app using Code Studio in under minutes. So here are the folders it was created. Code Studio are the folders. In this folder, we will store the custom instruction as well as the custom prompt we created. We can see here custom instruction will be stored under instructions and custom prompts will be stored under prompts folder. And for the backend, we can see it created app data migration and test, as we said, to create unit tests also. So it created the test case tests also. And for the front end, we can see it created all the necessary details to connect with the API components, contest pages, and everything was created. First, styling index.css was also created using Tailwind CSS. And finally, the summary of the application we have created. Now let's jump into our presentation. So this is how teams go from weeks to minutes without losing control with zero boilerplate support by using the Core Studio to develop these enterprise apps. So what you are seeing is not speed through shortcuts; it's speed through eliminated friction. Now let's go through the key takeaways. So enterprise apps delivery is slow because of process gaps. It's not because of developer capability. And agent mode turns Code Studio into a senior developer that plans, builds, and verifies. Contest engineering replaces repeated prompts with governments using custom instructions and custom prompts. And the result is 3 to 5x faster delivery, predictable quality, and built-in compliance. Like this is how AI becomes a system, not just a tool. Yeah, thank you for your time today. I hope this session showed not just what Code Studio can do, but how to use it effectively in the enterprise environments. Let's open it for questions.